The murder mystery party organizer greets their guests as they arrive. This normally happens before the presenter running your party gets there. Your murder mystery presenter arrives ready to run your party. They will need to see the boxed game or printed download. Take a moment now to show them the venue and how to control the music. Your presenter will check that you have everything. You should check your box or print all your materials at least 1 week early in case there are any issues. The presenter will attach the name badges to a safety pin and then mingle with the group, handing out a badge to each guest. This is an important time because it gives the presenter a chance to warm up the audience and get to know people. The presenter will try and match name badges to your guests based on a variety of factors. Are they male or female? What are they wearing and does it match a character? Do they seem more outgoing and so should have a central character? The presenter needs to make sure that all the central characters go out and ideally the central characters are spread around the room. This way they won't all end up in one group. No one knows who has a central character, so make sure you don't say anything as you give them out. Use this time to banter with people. Make a comment about their costume or ask them if they've murdered anybody lately. If you have less than 15 people, then get your guests to wear more than one name badge. This does not change how they play the game, and you can make a joke about having multiple personalities. Your game contains an item called Prop 1. The presenter needs to hide it somewhere around the venue and guests will find it later. Great places include under rugs or in pot plants. Try and hide it somewhere where nothing will get broken in the rush to find it. Make sure no one sees you hide it and think of a clue to help people later, such as, what do Hollywood stars walk down? And of course this would indicate a red carpet. Once you are set up and ready to start, take a final moment to consider your venue. You need a central area for the main action. Where is the best place for this? A good rule of thumb is, can everyone stand in a circle shoulder to shoulder in this space? Can you create more space? Sometimes you can get help to move small tables, etc. to create more open space. You are about to deliver an opening introduction and play a game. Where can you stand so everyone can see you? Sometimes you need to stand on a chair or in the corner. After the murder mystery game starts, where will the teams go? Be aware of other areas in the venue because you can lose people to balconies and bedrooms. People need to be able to hear, and so background noise is your enemy. Ask the venue to turn off piped music, turn off generators, or anything else making unnecessary noise. While people are talking, you will want to stop any music. Ask your organizer how to do that. Is everyone here? If you are expecting 30 and there are only 7, you may have to wait a bit before you get going. Double check that you have given out all the central name badges. If you haven't, don't be afraid to ask someone to swap so the badge goes out. People can even wear 2 name badges if they don't want to give theirs up. Walk around the venue and check that everyone has a name badge. It is easy to miss people. Have you hidden Prop 1? If you have done all these things, then you can get going. Check in with your organizer before you start. They may have had messages from people that they are almost there, so you might want to hold off starting for a few minutes. Some guests will be very late. If all the central characters are out and you're only waiting for a small number of people, you should get started. You begin by giving an opening address. Relax, joke, and say silly things. Mention funny character names or talk about awesome costumes that people are wearing. Talk about where we are and why we are here. Chat to the crowd and ask questions so that you can respond to anything they say. For example, ask people if this is their first cruise or how many films they've been in. Do anything that comes to mind to get people involved. Make sure you react to what they say. If someone says, "This is my third cruise," reply by saying, "Did you get murdered on any of those other cruises?" Mention key characters. For example, ruthless. Have you done anything ruthless lately? After your opening address, you will play a game. Try and link the game to the theme, such as a safety drill before the ship casts off, or to test to see who is the fastest gun in the Wild West. If you have a big group, you can ask for a smaller number to come forward so you can manage the group. After the game is over and people have laughed, clapped and cheered, you need to make an excuse to leave. You can pretend to hear a phone call or say you can see smoke signals. After returning from the phone call or other excuse, the presenter will announce that there is a big problem. The presenter will call the murdered character out the front and start to chat with them. Are you feeling okay? Then with great fanfare, the presenter will announce that the phone call informed them that the character has been shot, stabbed, poisoned, or whatever, and is dead. You should make it clear at this point that one of our guests has been murdered. Encourage the guest to die dramatically and fall to the floor. If their costume makes it awkward or falling to the floor is unsafe, then they can die into a chair. You can talk to the dead victim, or you can ask if there are any doctors and nurses at the party that can help. Ask someone to come out and check the pulse or perhaps do CPR. Finally, make it clear that they have been murdered, they can't be saved, and that the killer is here at the party. Announce that this changes everything. We must now find the murderer before they kill again. With lots of clapping and cheers, ask our deceased friend to return to their group. The murdered victim plays the game just like all the other guests at the party, and once they are murdered, there is no difference between them and anybody else. You will organise your participants, including the murdered victim, into a team. There are no rules and it is up to you how you want to do this. Sometimes people want to know why we work in groups rather than give each individual player a script. Teams have the following benefits. It allows people that don't know each other to have a reason to communicate and get to know one another. It allows the extroverted people to go and swap clues with other teams, while the more introverted guests hang back, take notes, and work with the clues. Your guests can choose the level of participation they are comfortable with. When people have to work on their own, they can feel anxious, and we definitely don't want this. It is much more fun to play with friends. You can have as many teams as you like, but some combinations work better than others. The more people in each team, the less involved some people will be, so aim for around 6 to 8 people per team. Have at least 3 teams, but try not to have more than 7 teams unless you're holding a big party for 50 or more people. Here are some great combinations. Once your guests are in teams, hand each team a pen and a copy of the team directions and ask someone to read it out loud to their team. The team directions explain how the game will work and also provides writing paper. Once the last team finishes, recap the main points and make sure people understand. Each murder mystery game contains a quiz. You can ask questions from the quiz as a way to give out round 1 clues. You can play heads and tails by making questions true or false, or if you want, you can give blank copies of the quiz and ask teams to fill them in. You need to give approximately the same number of clues to each team. A good trick is to hold some clues back in case you make a mistake. If you have 5 teams, take 10 clues out of the pile and leave them behind. Give the other 10 clues away with your quiz questions. After the quiz, go around and give 2 bonus clues to each team. This ensures that all teams get some clues. Many teams and players will still be confused about what they should do. Go around each team and remind them of what they should be doing. In particular, teams may not understand what you meant by swapping clues. It means they give one of their printed clues to another team and get one back in return. Teams work through their initial clues, and when they are ready, they send players out to swap clues. As clues are swapped, the new clues are returned to the group. This new information is worked through. After some time, you will need to go around and ask each team to pick a spokesperson. You should reassure teams that you can't get this wrong and that you want teams to sling mud at each other and accuse people of things the clues say they have done. Once each team has nominated someone, you can hold your first accusation session. Gather all your guests together in one place and explain how there is a lot of tension in the room that must be vented. Ask each team one at a time to make their accusations. It is absolutely okay for teams to tell lies or change names to mislead the other teams. Sometimes teams will want to ask questions. This is fine, but the person they ask may not know the answer and will probably make up the response. Accusations are much better where the spokesperson makes a statement about another team or another character. Make sure there is lots of clapping and cheering over the accusations. Don't let the cat out of the bag. Teams may pick the murderer at this early stage, but they are guessing. Act the same no matter which murderer they accuse. After the round 1 accusations, you need to announce that there has been an item hidden here. This item was probably mentioned during the accusation, so it's great if you can refer back to the guests that mentioned it. Prop 1 reveals a part of the story. Send the guests off to look for it and say that there will be bonus clues for the team that finds it. If people are having trouble finding it, don't be afraid to drop hints. Be careful that people don't search through your murder mystery materials or break anything. Call everyone back when Prop 1 is found and ask the team that found it to read it out loud to the group. Each game has a fun extra dramatic event. These are for fun, but they give you a great way to hand out the round 2 clues. Depending on the game, each team will need to sing a sea shanty, describe a gruesome execution, or some other activity related to your theme. You can give bonus clues to teams that try hard or do well. Round 2 follows the same basic format as round 1, and now the teams will fully understand what they need to do. You hand out the round 2 clues, but this time you'll also hand out a copy of Prop 3 to each team. Teams trade clues and work through the information. The same or a new spokesperson will prepare an accusation just like they did with round 1. Prop 2 adds extra information to the story. After the round 2 accusations, you should ask someone to come forward and read out this new information. Sometimes Prop 2 involves a few guests performing a task, so you may need multiple volunteers. Round 3 follows the same basic format as rounds 1 and 2. Before you hand out the clues, remind the teams that round 3 is the final round, and this is the last lot of information they will receive. Remind teams how important it is to trade clues in round 3. The key difference is that at the end of this round, there won't be accusations. Each team will need to nominate a spokesperson that will come out the front and tell the final story on behalf of the team. They will tell the story and identify who they think the killer is. When you think teams are getting close, go around and check in with each team. Make sure they have nominated a spokesperson or two and that they have picked a single killer. It is a good idea to ask teams to point to the name of the person they have identified as the killer. This way, if no teams have the right answer, you can drop a hint or two. You want to make sure at least one team has the correct answer. When teams are ready, gather everyone around and ask the spokespeople to come out the front. One at a time, they will tell the story as they understand it and identify who they think the killer is. As the presenter, you need to listen closely to their stories. The winning team will be the team that gets the killer correct, but usually there are multiple teams with the correct killer, so the winner will be the team with the correct killer and the most accurate story of how the murder occurred. With lots of claps and cheers, thank the teams for their theories. Ask everyone if they'd like to hear the real story of what happened to the murdered victim. The presenter tells the true story. You can read directly from the final story script that comes with the game, but it will be much more effective if you can present it without notes. Make sure you build your enthusiasm towards the end and make the closing comments of what happened as dramatic as possible. At the end, identify the murderer. Ask all the guests to point and say, "Murderer!" If you have handcuffs available, you can now place the murderer under arrest. Your game comes with a set of certificates to hand out, and this is a great way to conclude the game. Always finish with the Best Sleuth Award, which goes to the team you have chosen as the winners. Say thank you and enjoy the rest of your night.